welcome to A Guy Learning How to Draw. It's a video podcast about me trying to learn how to draw, or teach myself how to draw. My name is Elliott-Fisher. I am a cinematographer and aspiring comic book artist, well, at least trying to be. Over the past couple of years, my company's been working on documentary films relating to the comic book industry and comic book creators and artists. And through working on these films, I started to watch these amazing creators and artists at work and realized that maybe I'd like to give this a try and try to teach myself how to draw, primarily from a cinematography point of view. It's invaluable to be able to illustrate a point or explore framing or design or lighting through the ability to draw, because it's a lot cheaper than lugging out big cameras and capturing real people, which obviously is always, in my case, preferable, but not always practical. So I thought, why not develop a podcast that discusses my journey through this comic book creating process, and also talks a little bit about the things that I've learned along the way, the techniques that I'm using, and who knows, maybe I will learn something from comments and feedback from you, or maybe you'll learn from some of my mistakes, which I'll probably make a lot of. So right now I'm doing a really rough sketch of this design that I'm working on for this comic book called Lost Survivor. And this is a drone robot that is outside of a ship, a vessel that these guys are all partying on, and these drones are going to start malfunctioning. But I'm trying to get, a really, really quick and rough, gesture of what its shapes are, where the mechanics are moving, and what the claws and the tools and the implements this drone robot might have. I've already drawn one page that includes sort of a wide shot of this little creature, so I kind of want to really get a handle on its mechanics before I go too much farther in the detailed close-up. This robot design is for this page here that we've been working on in the comic book Lost Survivor, which is also a live-action web show or film. We haven't really quite decided how we're going to approach it. And this drone here that I'm designing is this little guy that is flying around the big ship that it is doing repairs on. There's another one way back here to kind of try to demonstrate scale. There's a little bit of a close-up here, which I may or may not go back in and add some more detail later as I kind of develop what he looks like. But in this panel here where the spaceship is floating in space, I didn't really want to fill this part of the page full of black ink, because I thought the composition would the ship wouldn't stand out as much. It's sort of sitting in the middle of a sea of black, and then you can break up the panels differently. So I thought, let's do this sort of like widescreen frame in all black, and then I applied the stars using this. I don't know how you would actually pronounce this. Gouache, gouache. It's basically, this product is made by Winsor Newton. I'm sure other companies make the same type of product. But basically it's a very, very thick opaque white. In this case it's really brown on top because it separates. You have to stir it a lot. It took me a while to figure this out because I was for a long time using standard whiteout with whiteout pens, and then trying to pool it onto something and then using another tool to apply it in a design. Like for instance, in this case, I was adding stars. So to add these stars with a paintbrush, it'd be nicer to have something that you paint on and it's not as fast drying and as destructive as whiteout, because once the whiteout dries on your brush, you really can't get it off. So this stuff, watching enough YouTube videos showed me that this is what comic book artists are using for whiteout and correcting mistakes, or actually applying a white onto a black. So you can apply it with a brush or any other implement that you're using, even a pen, or you can flick it on with the end of a nib in a card. If you use, like for instance, in this case you actually see that I've done this before. In this case it's probably whiteout, and it also works really well if you have a lot of spotted black and you want some sort of splatter effect. Dip that into the white, splat it on there, and get that effect. But in this case I actually wanted to cluster the stars in kind of a semi-cohesive way, and it's a few stars, and when you look at the night sky you definitely see those little concentrations of stars. I could have probably done a better job than this on this panel, but I think that it's serving its purpose. The other panel down here, which is the introduction or the establishing shot into the party that is happening on this freighter vessel, which isn't really a party vessel. It's supposed to be an industrial ship, but they've stowed away and having an illegal rave. This is like harkening back to rave days, if anybody even remembers what a rave is. And then to use these shipping containers as kind of like makeshift bars that they're at, and then in the next page you'll see that they're closer up. These bars, and this guy's leaning inside one of these shipping containers where they've set up some pumps on some boxes, and are having space alcohol, futuristic alcohol drinks, or God knows what. In this page you can actually see where I used, depending on the sheen of it, you could probably see where I used the white opaque to correct shadows I didn't like, and I'm experimenting a lot as this podcast is called, A Guy Learning How to Draw. I'm learning how to draw as I go, so I've only been inking with a brush for maybe about 2 years. In this comic I'm doing a combination of tech pens, standard micron tech pens, and a Series 7 Winsor Newton sable. Probably could go with a little bit of a thicker sable because the ends are always more or less the same. It's just how much ink it can hold. We're having a little bit of an issue here in Canada right now getting these. For whatever reason, there's some sort of trade barrier on sable, which I think is a rodent. So I don't know if they have to kill the rodents or what, and people get all upset about it. Or they could just give them a haircut and use their hair. Anyway, so I'm doing the backgrounds and the machinery and tech pens, and trying to do the organic people and characters with the brush. So this is a little continuation of that party. So that fan means that the red is run out of the red camera's run out of data. So let us regroup next time and continue discussing where this comic book goes as we continue to learn how to draw. A guy learning how to draw, one step at a time, one line at a time.